Now, I want to welcome you all to this Q&A on communication and collaboration. Now, I do have a question, but the question is from Sally Perrin, and she's not here. So what I'm going to do is, until she arrives or whatever, is until she arrives, hopefully, is ask you whether any of you have a question. Ahlam, do you have anything that you would like to ask about the course, the module, or any specific issue that's you've been thinking through?
Like, do you mean the course itself, or in general about the communication and
anything at all that you want to ask, whether it's about the communication, you know, like the core, you know, anything that you've read, that you've a video, anything at all that you think, I'm not sure I understand that, or I'd like clarification, something that you want to comment on, whatever.
Yeah. Yes, actually, like I have difficult, like especially regarding the topic in general about collaborations with people, especially like if I meet like a group for the first time. So, you know, the trust is very important factors, right? So
Right.
like, you know, the first time when I engage with the group, you know, like I feel they are not some motivated, I don't know, like, so I feel if they are like listening, I prefer to be listening. You know, you know, like how I ignite their curiosity or their motivations, like to please, like I'm talking, so please talk with me. You know,
Yeah.
if you are like if you keep silent, I'll keep silent as well. You know, so like I don't want, like sometimes I feel I should to be like leader, you know, to ignite the group to collaborate and like talk and do some task, you know, because like I feel like, you know, like some of team members, they are like prefer to be like silent like this. So how we do collaborations and like move forward for our projects, right?
Yeah, I've got you. So you're talking about team members or stakeholders just generally?
The team members,
The team members, so
yeah.
the people that are working with you as your team members, they're your stakeholders. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to see any of the other Anna, Shama, Lorraine. Have you any experience that you would like to share with with Alma before I say anything? In terms of how you motivate your team members, how you get them to communicate with you. Is that right? Yeah?
Not really.
Not really? Okay. Not really. Okay, so, all right. Alma, so how big is your team? Alma? How big is your team? How many people?
My team?
Yeah.
Five.
You've got 5 people. Do you know them very well?
No, first time.
Oh, first time. So you've only just met them?
Exactly, yeah.
Oh, okay. So I guess that the first thing I would do is, so what are you working on? Tell me what you're working on. What's the project?
Actually, it's a research project. A research project.
Yeah.
For a grant project. So we are different interests. They are from communications, social communication background. Their school is from social science.
Right.
And I'm from computer science school, different background.
Right.
So we couldn't reach to the common entrance, right?
So what's the big project you're working on? Yeah.
Like how the technology can improve communications of seniors with seniors, like
older people. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. So like the social science students, they want like to collaborate technology or like to improve the communications or to improve the life of seniors. So like, you know, they want like knowledge from the technology student. And me too, I want knowledge from communications student, right?
Okay, that's right. So, you know, the first thing I would do is get to know each of them, what their personal interests are,
Yeah.
and what they want this, how they see this project growing, how they see it shaping up. What do
Right.
they want? You know, what are they expecting? Get to know what their area of specialization in communication is, because that's going to help you understand what kind of technology is useful. And you
Right.
will find that if you take an interest in them, they will start to take an interest in you. That's
Right.
been my personal experience.
Yeah.
People like to feel that they are listened to. And sometimes when we want something from them in terms of information, knowledge, or we want them to listen to us, first we have to take the first step to get to know them. And we
Yes,
have
right.
to listen to them.
I agree.
That's just something that I find, you know, if that's a suggestion. Has anybody else got any comments on that? You're all going to be quiet. I know. This is my quiet. This is my quiet group.
I have something to add.
Good.
Yeah, maybe after getting to know them, come with a specific plan that you created and propose that to them. So they'll kind of have a general idea, or they'll know what you aim for, what you want to do. So I don't know. Perhaps they have no idea what they want to do. Their mind is not focused. So you just give them focus. That'll be like common grounds for.
Right, I know, right.
Okay. So, all right. Now who we've got here? Are there any other questions from anyone? Oh, Shama, are you, Alma, are you okay with that answer? Does that help you? Can you hear me? Is everything, so you're happy with that?
Yeah. Thanks so much. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Do we have any other questions from anyone? You're all on mute. Yeah. Who is that? Ty, yes.
Yes. Can you please elaborate on how to contextualize and capitalize our personal value in collaboration with other stakeholders?
Okay. So first we have to identify what our personal value is. So what's your personal values? What do you think that what personal value do you feel you personally bring to your research project?
Yeah, persistence, I think.
Yeah.
And also my personal experiences in management that I can bring into the project.
All right. So what is your actual project? What's it about?
I'm looking at the international students' experiences in internship.
In where?
Yeah, in internship, in practicum.
Income? No.
Practicum.
Oh, practicum. Yeah.
Yeah. Exploring the challenges they face and how they negotiate with those challenges to foster the outcomes of their placement, of their internship.
All right. So we're looking at students who are doing a practicum and
yeah.
Okay. I haven't. And what's the area that they're? What do you look at? What's the subject topic? Yeah.
Cross-disciplinary. I'm looking at their experiences in their preparation for practicum and their performance during the practicum.
Now, is it a practicum for education? What's the practicum? Is it or just any subject area that they're studying?
Yeah, and it is cross-disciplinary, and it can be optional, compulsory in the course of study.
Right.
Yeah.
So what sort of places would they do their practicum? I'm just trying to understand so that I can.
Yeah, in industry and community. It can be any
So, for example, So for example, if I'm studying teaching,
Yeah.
you're looking at me going for a practicum when I do a practicum at a school.
Yes.
If I'm studying law, it's about doing a practicum in the legal services. Is that right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
It
So-
can be any field science.
All right. So, okay. So now I'm starting to, because the examples help me a lot. And this is often what we as stakeholders need, is an example so that we can understand what's the context, what context. So that makes it more real for me in understanding it. Okay. So let's go back to your question. Ask the question again.
Can you elaborate on how to best contextualize and capitalize my personal values?
Value. All right. Okay. So you want to contextualize and cover on your personal values. Now, is this in presenting the information, supporting them? Because I would say that some of your personal value, yes, persistence is one, because we need to keep going and not give up. And that's very important. How do you feel about, do you have a passion for your research? Do you, what,
Sure.
and what's your knowledge? And you said you've had experience in that area?
Yes.
Okay. So there's those are also personal values that you have. So your personal value is also about you and how you express yourself and what you, how you follow through things. So the persistence, the passion, the determination, I mean, I know we listed some of the personal values for you in this week's offering, but there are many, many other values that you have that only you know. The way you communicate, that's another value. So, you know, for example, people pick up your passion or pick up, like I know the way I communicate is not the same as everybody else. All right. And it's also sometimes culturally bound. So we have to take that into account. So I have an Italian background, and not that that necessarily means this is why I'm more animated, but it's the way I am. Okay. I can get quite excited and I can get eclectic. So I can talk about things, more than one thing at the same time, but I see the connections. And that's where your uniqueness, you identify your own uniqueness in communication. So obviously to get to where you are now, people have listened to you. Am I correct? Okay. So having said what I said, what other personal values do you feel you have that you can capitalize on in terms of the way you present and how you engage with your stakeholders and funders?
Yes, I can bring my own experiences in managing a practicum program
Excellent.
into this project.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good. Good. Okay.
Then, is there any suggested formula for contextualizing and capitalizing personal values?
The only, look, I can't think of an actual formula, but one thing I do know is that each audience that you speak to will be different. All right. So, and maybe that's where the context is. So when you're speaking to your stakeholders and their supervisors and their academics, your language will change. Okay, so how you express that personal value within you, you know, your passion needs to be in a language that is a technical academic language to some, you know, to a greater degree. At the same time, so, okay, so I'll just leave that example there. When you're speaking to community or students, like for example, you're speaking to the industries that are going to take the students on, will you be doing that at all for practicums? Okay, so then you're looking at industries. So what's the language of that industry? Is it finance? Is it education? Is it, so you can use some of your terminology, you can use your academic, but you really want to create a relationship of trust. So it's a different relationship altogether. It's not about just giving them information. It's about creating a a relationship. It's an alliance, okay, and a trust. So it's about giving them information. It's about learning about them. What do they want from you? What do they want from the students who are going to be doing the practicum? Okay, so you have your checklist of what you want, what you're expecting, and they will have theirs. So it's bringing together. And sometimes these things, well, from my experience, and I've been involved in supervising students on practicums, you have a checklist. You both have a checklist, and you have expectations of what the students will do on the practicum, how they will be, you know, as well as their behaviours, but also how they will be respected as students. And you also have the list that the industry is looking for in terms of what they expect of the students. So that's relationship creation. And so, yeah. So you bring your own personal integrity. So when you're creating that relationship, you also have to think about your level of integrity, your level of ethics, your level of trust. Okay. So is that starting to make more sense and feel better?
Yeah, thank you.
Is that okay? Sure.
Yes.
Anybody else want to make any comment on that? No? Okay. Right. Let me have a look. I was going to say my next victim, but I shouldn't. But I will pick on Sharma. How are you?
Good, thank you.
And how are you traveling?
Yeah, good. Very good. I did actually have something I wanted to ask. I hope it's not off topic. I don't think it is. Maybe a little. I'll just ask it.
Just ask it. Yeah. Go for it.
About if you're trying to work together with people who they come from a different background to you, like academically. So the way they see things is very different to the way you see things. Ideally, I think that a little bit of my way would be good for them, but obviously you want to be, I mean, you don't want to be, you want to be respectful and, you know, not pushy. And how do you go about that kind of interaction in a positive way, in a constructive way? Does that make sense?
Yeah, good, very good question. Definitely had experience with that. Anybody though want to make any comments before I do? Anna, I'm looking at you. Sorry, we had Anna yesterday. Yes.
Oh, I can't think of anything at the moment because that's a really good question, actually. I would love it answered.
Oh, okay. Right. Rightio. Okay. Okay then, Sharma. For example, my research has always been qualitative, right? With a little bit of with some statistical background. As a researcher, what I find is that quantitative research, and I've always been in the social sciences as well, okay? Not to say that there aren't quantitative researchers in social sciences, but I've found that your quantitative research can give you a very broad picture, like, you know, like a brush across a wall, a broad brush picture, boom, of the statistics of whatever it is that we're looking at. And I can't think of anything at the moment, but, you know, for example, how many people speak, now I'm looking at Anna, how many people have a bilingual background, okay? All right. But that doesn't show you when someone does the, you know, like what do they call it? You know, every X number of years we do the statistics to find the profile of people's employment, people's language, people's background. The census, okay? So when we get census data, how many languages do people speak? Now, people can say that they speak 4 or 5 languages or one language, they only speak English. but do we know what their cultural background is? And I know these are things that have been added to statistical data, quantitative data. But one of the things that we miss in quantitative data is understanding how the person actually thinks in terms of that essence of who they are, how they see themselves, and there is a history. And so culturally, they could have a history that's far more diverse than what it shows on a quantitative. So, you know, you ask, you know, do you speak English? Do you speak another language? No. Okay, so I remember organisational psychology in a project I was involved with the Australian Research Council. We were looking at integrity and leadership. Now, I said to David, who was the head of department, I said, I prefer qualitative data because I believe that's where you get the really, you know, you get a good understanding of you know, what people are really feeling, going through, etc. He said he prefers quantitative data because it gives him a quick snapshot of what's the picture. So I said to him, I see the value of quantitative data. However, I do like my qualitative data. So we had a bit of a, you know, we laughed because it's no good getting into an argument because I can see the value, all right? The other thing was, this was a project, organisational psychology and business, and a project, and I coordinated it. And the project was with Fire and Emergency Services, and it was looking at integrity and leadership. Now, as we were putting together the ARC documentation, I brought a philosopher into the group. Now, the other two professors in business and organisational psych were going, what's a philosopher got to give? I said, when we have the meeting, I'll explain it. But this philosopher, Michael, has done a lot of work. He's run sessions with the Australian Navy when I was running a leadership program. So he actually ran the integrity sessions, the ethics sessions. So he'd already worked with businesses. He was writing a book at the time with architecture. So it's about ethics and integrity. Anyway, cut a long story short, those other two professors got it, okay? It takes time, it takes patience, it takes really active, I guess, deep listening skills. And also, sometimes it's up to us to find that common ground for them. And going back to what I was saying earlier, it's about being interested in them, finding out more about them, and then slowly introducing how you see the linkages between the disciplines. See, I cannot look at one discipline and say, this is the answer. I look at every single discipline we have across the whole of university. And this has been one of my problems, even as a student, is that I always see the global, and then I see how the threads run down to each individual, what each individual silo of study can give us. Because that's the complexity of the world. That's why, you know, we now have, as you will see later in the course, transdisciplinary research. You know, we look at wicked problems. Why? Because there's no one school of thought to give us the answer for everything, even in one particular topic that we're looking for an answer for. We can only do this much. Has that helped you at all, Sharma?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ask for further clarification if you need.
No, it was a good example that you gave about the culture, because my area is cultural and linguistic diversity, and I am working in schools. So it's like I've got a cultural background and I'm trying to work with educators who have a very different mindset. So trying to, I mean, I can see, obviously they have so much knowledge, but I think that sometimes they need to look at it in a different way, which is more of the cultural way that I consider things. So yeah, I can see what you're saying about things being related, and we can only do a small bit. We need to, you know, join together.
Yeah. Have you an example of one thing that you're trying to get through to them?
Oh, not in particular, but often the way that languages and culture is, taught in the classroom is, I think, a little bit narrow. It needs to be it needs to be broader and needs to be more, discussion based and
Yeah.
a bit more in depth. So that's a difficult thing to get across to a busy person who's got a set lesson plan and curriculum and checklist that they need to get through. So.
Yeah, what happens is what I've found with a lot of cultural training, this is an area that I've always been interested in. I call it, my interest is the human condition, but with cultures is that they'll give you this checklist of, people from these cultures, avoid, eye-to-eye contact, they do this, they do this, they do this and this. But and for me, that's like a quantitative study.
Mm.
What they miss is that you're actually talking to an individual. So you need to sit, you need to be able to hold that sensitivity and that intuitiveness in you and that listening. And when I talk about listening, I'm not just talking about listening to words. I'm talking about listening to the non-physical things. For example, I have had to learn, like we're doing the Q&A now. We didn't, going back when I started teaching these courses, right, 13, 14 years ago, all I had to work with was the discussion board. I had to learn to listen to students' posts. And that is something I'm still learning. Because learning to be a deeper listener. And I hear what you're saying, even just by looking at your face. I can, and it's really important to be able to do that. And culturally, we are still not as sensitive as we'd like to be. And we still stereotype. Hopefully that's changing. So your work, I see, is very, very important. It's critical. Thank you very much, Shama.
Thank you.
Yeah. All good. Okay, who else do we have? Lorraine, do you have anything to share, to ask or share?
Thank you so much. I haven't thought of a question that hasn't already been asked right now, and so far I've just really enjoyed hearing your answers to everything. So yeah.
Okay. All right then, Lorraine, no problem. All good.
Okay.
Now, who else have we got in the room? We've got Jonathan.
May I ask something?
Yeah, Anna, please. Yeah.
Connected to in a way Sharma's question. So it's not easy to do a research, but I see her situation as very good for conducting a study on how to motivate teachers to make some changes in their lesson plans and all of that. So my question would actually be, what is the best possible way to actually share our research findings and to kind of influence the environment? So if we do that research, I'm doing research on translanguaging, how translanguaging should be included in schools, how schools need to be more, and children need to be more aware of different languages, different cultures, and that's lacking. So how do we actually make that change? We're doing this research, but it's not being publicly shared. Even though we do, publish our paper in the journal, other scholars read it, they comment on it, but there is actually no real change in the environment.
No. So in your research, are you working with schools or community or?
No, but actually, yeah, my research is qualitative, it's linguistic ethnography.
Okay.
So it's mostly a lot of interviews, focus group discussions, but it's kind of very broad. So it's community, it's international students, it's cultural, linguistically diverse local students, first generation Australians. So it's a pretty big group.
Okay. I guess my first sense is that if you're working with students and is to make some inroads in the education area, whether it's the I know here we have them, the schools linked to the universities where they teach English to make sure that students have the standards of English that's required for them to be successful through the university process. The education, I'm trying to, you know, maybe some of the others might have some ideas as well. You know, it's interesting how we talk about social media, and I've had students on this program who go, you know, I get lots of feedback from Twitter, and I mean, I've never thought of going on Twitter, and I probably won't, but you know, they do. And I mean, I am on Instagram, and I'm starting, and one of the things I've picked up during the COVID, I don't use it. I don't like social media very much. Not that it just takes up so much time, and my poor eyes. So that a lot of homeschooling. So, you know, it's kind of like that's the, you know, if we look at the Brexit, did you see the Brexit video?
I didn't have time to watch it completely.
That's okay. That's fine. Even if you watch it after all of this, it's never, you know, I always think things will come, things happen when they're meant to. But it's like sometimes if you want the word to really spread, like parent and teacher meetings, or, you know, there's a lot of, I guess, places that you can go and share your, you know, your study, and people might be interested. I can see that, say, for example, a lot of the not-for-profit, culturally diverse organizations, like even the migrant, they call them differently now, I have to be careful, but, you know, that, yeah, culturally diverse migrant resource centers or whatever, or, you know, the African Association or the French, that all, there may be interest. I can't say that, you know, so it's about doing some brainstorming.
Yeah. Well, let's say we organize, I don't know what came to my mind first, a workshop for school teachers. Especially, I don't know, I'm actually not involved with the classes in high school, so I don't actually know which classes are being offered, but let's say it's something related to cultural diversity, language diversity, and I don't know. How would those, the thing that comes to my mind is that those teachers would immediately think, oh, but you've never been a teacher, so you don't have that experience, and you don't know how to, you don't know the real in-class situation. How can you tell me what I'm supposed to be doing? So it's kind of how to negotiate that lack of practice in a field that they have, but yet share what I know and what I understood from conducting the research. I have to bridge that gap.
So, okay, has anybody got I've got an idea. Has anybody else got a comment they'd like to make? Because I don't want to be the only one talking. Jonathan, have you got anything to say? Or, sorry.
I don't really have that much to say. Although, when I started writing papers, I quickly realized that you may write something down and you think you know what it means, but when someone else reads it, they might take away something completely different. And that pretty much has changed my approach to writing it, making me realize that I need to really focus on what I'm actually saying rather than what I think I'm saying, if that makes any sense.
It does. It makes a lot of sense, Jonathan. Thank you. Thank you.
Can I also add something?
Yeah.
Sorry, just I felt a lot of connection from what Sharma and Anna was talking about just then, because I am a primary teacher myself for quite a few years, and I know that feeling of going into, let's say, a workshop at the start of the year when you've got all these other start of school things on your mind. And yeah, you do attend a workshop, and many a times you do find that disconnection between the person who's delivering the workshop and yourself. And I do share those feelings of, oh my gosh, like, don't they know how much we've got to do already? But I remember vividly, I think one of the workshops where everyone just kind of lapped up what the presenter was saying was a workshop about autism intervention. And it also relates to, I don't know if many of you have watched the video with the BuzzFeed publisher, Dow's video from last week about how they formulate their recipe videos. And I think that's what this presenter at this autism workshop did as well. I think she started with showing us what their intervention, like what the result of their intervention has been like, and then going on to really individual stories of parents who have autistic children themselves. And I think and then presenting their resources and how to use those resources, and showing how those resources can actually be easily implemented in the classroom. I think starting with the resulting picture really had everyone getting really excited. And same with another writing workshop that I attended. I think the presenter again showed us the difference between just over a span of 2 weeks, the difference between a child's writing from at the start to the child's writing, you know, after 2 weeks. And that got us really excited. And then, and just to know that it is achievable. I think I don't know if I'm kind of going off topic and I'm just saying really obvious things, but I found that really helpful for myself as a,
As an educator.
As an educator, and when I've only just started, so I found that also really helpful when I had to do my stage 1 presentation a few months ago. I don't know if that spoke to you at all, but yeah.
That was really fantastic. That's exactly the kind of thing I really wanted to hear from someone with teaching experience. Thank you so much. That's great, really helpful.
That's all right.
Thank you.
It's a really hard task you're doing, because I know it's so hard to get teachers to do anything because they feel like they're already doing so much. But for them to see that, oh wow, this is actually going to make my job easier. I think many a times, yes, it's like putting in the hard yards at the beginning, but when they see how their the results are so phenomenal and are going to be saving them so much time, I think that's what gets us excited. But you're doing a great job, I'm sure, and it's, just keep going.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's great. All right. Anna, how's that for a response to your question?
It's an amazing response. Thank you so much. That's really what I wanted to hear.
Yeah, she couldn't have said it better. Yeah, much better than me. It's great. Excellent. Now, how are we going for time? We've got a little bit of time yet, have we, Alexandra? Yeah, okay. Is there anybody else that has a question? You'd like to unmute yourself and ask a question?
Yeah, Anna, I have a question.
Yes, Ahmed.
Hi everyone. Hi Anna. First, I want to know what's the meaning of authentic.
Sorry, I can't hear you very well, Ahmed. I think.
Yeah, I will change my place just a sec.
Sorry, I know I'm putting my ear.
Can you hear me now? Well, yeah, that's great. I just want to ask about authentic. What's the meaning of being authentic?
Authentic.
Yeah, exactly.
Authentic. Okay. Well, would anybody like? Anybody like to take that? Say what they believe authentic means?
Isn't it like being genuine, being transparent and honest?
Yes, that's right. That's right. Anybody else want to add any other words or explanation? Being authentic. Okay. No, Jonathan, that's very good. Now, I'm sorry, I've lost who asked the question. Where are we? Okay, I can't see everybody, Alexandra.
I think it was
Ahmed. Sorry.
I think
No, go.
Then to ask the question.
Yeah. So I understand that being authentic is being honest which helps in the research communication skills. Is that what you mean?
Yes. I don't know. Lorraine, what were you asking?
Oh no, I think I was just trying to help help find who was actually asking the question. Sorry.
No, don't be sorry at all. Ahmed, what do you, so you, sorry, talking too much. So, Ahmed, you understand the meaning of authentic as in honest, being true to yourself, etc. Am I correct?
Yeah, exactly. I want to understand how it helps in the research skills, because I when I read the session for week 2, it was the first thing was being authentic before being persistent and the other skills. So I didn't understand how can I be authentic in the research skills.
So being authentic in terms of your research skills, being real and honest with what you find in your research.
Yeah.
Sorry. So I'm just thinking, in the sense that being authentic means being real, being honest. So it means being true to yourself. So as you're producing your research, it's about knowing honestly and openly what you want to achieve from your research, and that whoever is like your supervisors, this is just an example, okay, your supervisors, etc., that they agree with you, they're quite happy with what you're doing. But if they're not, you know, sometimes, and I've found myself in this situation, situations where we can be guided is being kind, like almost pushed into a situation where we're having to look at the question that we originally had from a perspective or working with a particular group that that's not really what we wanted to do. It's not really that's not really where our passion was, or that's not really where our whole aim or wanted to achieve, you know, what we wanted to achieve was. And I also remember one person once, you know, like even with ethics, this person was even quite happy from my perspective, to breach certain ethics, for me to breach certain ethics to get information, and pretending it was going to be okay. And I didn't say anything, but obviously that person didn't end up being my supervisor. So there, you know, it's quite a complex thing about, you know, like you maintaining your authenticity, you maintain your honesty, because there's always going to be situations where you think, oh, you know, that'll be okay, or I don't need to do that, or whatever. I suppose I am struggling to find certain examples, but even when you're presenting to an audience, be yourself. You know, when you're presenting your research, be yourself. Don't be shy. Don't hold back from showing your passion. Don't hold back from, you know, from saying what you feel you need to say, but obviously within, you know, the parameters of respect and valuing others. But that for me is where the authenticity comes, and that you're doing the research. For me also, it's about you're doing the research. We do the research because we really, honestly, sincerely want to find an answer to a question that we believe is important for community and society. And it's different.
Yeah.
It's not just because I'm going to get, you know, I don't know, ticks in the boxes, and, you know, ask the hard questions, you know.
Yeah.
I know I've also chosen politically incorrect theses. And I remember one thesis I had to move from one university to the other because they didn't like the fact that the first university didn't like, or the school didn't like the fact that I was making my thesis have been on domestic violence, okay, women and children. And also I've looked at men being abused by women. The second thesis,
Yeah.
I had to change universities because the other university said that I was being a traitor to women. Sorry, I wasn't being a traitor to women. I just had a question to investigate. So you have to, there's a lot of different types of scenarios that you can talk about around the question of authenticity and being a researcher. And I probably have the age now to have more examples.
Yeah, thanks, Anna, so much.
Does that help you, Ahmed?
Yeah, but I also have another question. What if you, if for example, if you are passionate, you have passion about research, and you aim to do this and this, and when you come to the research, to the practical field here, and you didn't find what you were looking for, so in your opinion, what would be the situation if you when you applied in practical field and you didn't find what you were dreaming of?
Can you give me
what I mean?
Can you give me an example?
Yeah.
Is that all right?
Yeah. For example, I like analytical chemistry, and I applied for a project related to analytical chemistry. So I had certain aims, and I wanted to achieve and learn also lots of things in the analytical chemistry. But when I entered this project, I didn't find everything which I dreamt of.
When you say you didn't find everything, did you find anything?
I mean, I find not. I mean, I find. I wish I could find all the analytical aspects, but the project wasn't 100% analytical. So it has other disciplines. I mean, not the discipline which I was looking for.
Oh, so
yeah,
it was the discipline. Yeah, okay, so what you hope to find in the discipline that you went into to do your research, the information wasn't there. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. The information wasn't the one which I wished I can learn.
So do you know where you need to go to find this information, or to find this?
Actually, at that time, I don't have certain plan or specific plan, but I'm enjoying it as a new experience, as something new which I can learn in this field.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're quite happy with that?
Yeah. That wasn't which I'm aiming to learn.
To do.
But
yeah. So sorry. So you're going to finish this, and then, well, what you can do is if you know where you need to go to get the information you want, you can finish this project and then maybe do it the next time. I'm not sure. There's sort of decisions that I think you could talk to your supervisor about. Have you spoken to them, I guess? But that's
no, actually, I didn't speak to him because I like to give myself a chance to learn new things.
Good.
Even if it's not in my plan.
Okay.
And also I'm working with professional supervisor in this field. So
good.
So that's why I gave myself a chance. But it was just a quick question for as for anyone who was aiming to learn something special in certain discipline or in certain field, and he didn't find it in this field, and he found himself in another field. So what should he do? Should he give himself a chance to learn a new thing, or what should he do?
Well, I think that's up to you, Ahmed. But if you're enjoying learning this new field, I think that that can be exciting. Now, sometimes we go looking for one thing and we find another. It doesn't mean that it's not right, or that we have to keep looking for what we believe. You know, what we can always go looking for the other later, if that's what you're saying. Because if you're enjoying what you're doing and you feel that you're learning something and you will make a contribution, I personally don't see the problem. Okay. I'm going to, I guess, is there any comment from anybody on that? No? Okay. I think, Ahmed, if you feel if you're happy with what you're doing now, keep going. And if you know where to go to find the other information, what to do for your future, then you will find it. It will come to you. Okay.
Yeah, you're all right. Thanks, Anna.
That's okay. I hope it's helped. All right. Is there anybody else? I know we are getting closer to time. If we
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
I'm at virtual assistant.
Hi, Jonathan. Jonathan, are you speaking to us?
Oh, I was just making a comment about your virtual assistant going off. Never mind.
So, oh no, that's all right. Sorry, I just suddenly had a distraction. So, are there any other questions from anyone? Or any comments, statements anyone would like to make? No. I'm obviously not getting any response. Well, it's 8:53. So what have we had now? Almost an hour, Alexandra, I think. Okay.
Almost. Do you have any other questions from anyone? This is a great opportunity to ask now.
Yeah, I think so.
If not,
if no one has any questions, there was one little thing I would like to ask, if that's all right, if there's time. It's not a specific question, just something I was interested in when I was reading about this week's stuff, just about conflict of interest, and I guess what constitutes a conflict of interest. So, yeah, I don't know, maybe that's too broad a question.
That's all right. So go down the list of what constitutes a conflict of interest.
I guess maybe if I give you a bit of what I was thinking, that might narrow it a little bit. Just for example, like I said, my work is in schools, and when we're talking about communicating it with different stakeholders, I'm interested in the possibility of a school where my children attend. So I'm wondering, is that okay, or is that a conflict of interest? How, you know, obviously there's privacy involved with all the schools that I work with. I can't tell which schools they are when I'm writing about them and publishing. So I'm just wondering how that works.
So your project involves working with a number of schools?
Yes.
Okay. And you're also looking at working with the school where your children have been, or they are?
They are there now. It's not, that school is not part of my research project, but some of the teachers are interested in the work that I'm doing. And I just wonder if, you know, working with them, not as part of my project itself, but on the side, I guess, is that a conflict of interest? That's
no, but potentially it could be. So what you need to do is you need to declare. Have you told your supervisors that you're doing this?
No, well, I haven't done it yet. So I've said that I'm interested, and they've said, well, let's see. I'm not sure where you draw the line.
Okay. I think that probably, I mean, having worked in this field, I very clearly remember we producing a program for the Department of Premier and Cabinet here in Western Australia, all Western Australian government departments, and one of the topics was conflict of interest. The best thing to do with anything that you think could be a potential or perceived conflict of interest, okay, because you know, and the school knows, that you're not actually using them in your research, right? But that's not to say that others who hear about your project might not link it up with some sort of conflict of interest. Now, I'm not sure exactly what your project involves, but I would actually put it in writing, send it to your supervisors and say, you know, and you're documenting it. You know, I mean, I know it seems like it's annoying or a hassle, but conflicts of interest can be perceived. Like, what's your study about?
It's about how children experience cultural and linguistic diversity.
Okay, all right. Okay.
So,
All right.
so in the classroom.
I guess you're also the one who makes the call about what could be a possible perceived or perceived conflict of interest. And, you know, this is where I would hope your supervisors might be able to help you. But if not, a colleague, you know, someone who you know, who understands the area and will say, well, it could be a conflict of interest, you looking at your children's school, because I don't know, you know, like when I say I don't know, it can also depend on what, you know, how you roll your research out. And how you know, what sort of results you're wanting at the end of it, and whether you're gaining any particular benefit working with your children's school as opposed to the benefits of working with a school you don't know.
Okay.
Does that help, Shama? I know.
Yeah, it does. Obviously I need to discuss it with them, so I'll do that. But yeah, that is helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, but I think once everything's clear and it's out in the open, then what happens is it'd be fine for you to work. Everybody knows there's no conflict. You know, you're managing, because it goes. You declare them the conflict of interest. Sorry, and then you manage it.
Okay.
And that's something that then you work out how to manage that. Now, your own university would have a whole process within your HR section of how you actually would do that. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
Thank you. Okay. Any other comments, questions? Lorraine, anything else you like to say? No. Okay. Jonathan, anything? You're okay?
Oh, I'm okay.
Yeah. Okay. Ahmed, how are you going?
Yeah, I'm okay. Thanks, Anna.
Yeah, you're all good. Is it Thai? Thai. How do you pronounce your name?
Thai. Like a
Thai.
syllable in Thailand, yeah.
Thai. Okay, okay. Are there any further questions or comments you'd like to make?
No, thanks. I'm okay.
You're okay. Good. Let's have a look. Alam, how are you going?
I'm okay, thank you. Lovely.
No further clarifications or anything, or any comments you'd like to make?
No, I don't have at this moment. Maybe like in the future. Yes, for sure.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
Oh, thank you. And Sahar, how are you going? Sahar, where's Sahar? No, S-A-H-A. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name incorrectly. Farouk? Is there?
Yes, it's Amara.
Hi. Amar, is it?
Amara.
Amara. Bello. Okay,
I haven't
Amara.
seen it before.
Are there any comments or questions you would like to make, Amara?
No, everything is fine from my side. Yeah, if I have, I will of course definitely write an email to you and ask you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
But, you know, I'm just trying to make sure. Yeah, thank you very much.
no worries.
Thank you. All right, then, Sahar, I'm not hearing from Sahar, so I'm not sure what's happened there, but I'm guessing. All I can say, you know, we still have a couple of weeks to go. This week, we're looking at media and obviously what media can and can't do and how we need to be cautious of it. We've got the coming weeks where we'll be looking at actually looking more in depth in collaboration and transdisciplinary research. One of the things that, you know, one of the things that's going to come up is leadership, you know, in collaborative initiatives and in transdisciplinary initiatives, whether it's being part of a team, whether it's as part of a team, really. You know, you're looking at leadership qualities, so that'll be discussed. And also, you know, I think that with the collaboration, it's how to work with people, the skills that you need, the skills that I always find, look, they call them soft skills, you know, listening, interpersonal communication, but they are really the most difficult skills to develop. And one thing I always remain mindful of, that yes, I'm 66 now, I have still a lot to learn. I can keep learning and learning how to be a better communicator, how to be a better listener. And I guess that, you know, I've learned that from making mistakes. So sometimes we might make a mistake, but that's okay. You know, it's there for us to learn. We cannot succeed without failure. I think many famous people have said that. But I'm just really, what I'm trying to put into context is that in the coming weeks, we will have, there'll be a lot more coming through in terms of those interpersonal skills, in terms of those communication, that you can then, you know, cross-section with the other topic items that we've looked at, to date, the stakeholders, the media, etc. So embrace it all, ask questions online. We want, obviously there's not another Q&A session, but if you ask questions, I make it my job, my task, to ensure that I read every single post that's posted on the online discussion. Okay, that I make sure of that. Even if I haven't finished, say, this week's or whatever, by the end of before we send off our videos like this one, for the wrap up, I do that. And you can always email me personally if you want to, and if I think it's an important enough issue, I will then, you know, communicate with the rest of our collegial community. So I guess I can wrap it up. I know we have some messages. I'm not sure whether anything needs answering, Alexandra, do we?
Always good.
No, everything's okay? Okay. Well, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for your participation. I've really enjoyed it. I mean, I always do. I get very nervous beforehand, but I've really enjoyed it. And I hope that you've gained something from it, and have a great weekend. Stay safe. And take care of yourselves, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week. Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Ciao, Anna.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.